This is part 2, chapter 34. Maeve, she says instantly. She doesn't look up. I suppose you want to know how I let this happen. She takes the hymn sheets and disappears, briefly behind a column of papers. Let what's happen, sister? Let those couriers in, she remarks disdainfully. Took their money. Well, it wasn't my choice. We are part state-funded, you know, and when the government sold the contract on to those awful buggers, my hands were tied. All I can do was start moving things out. She picks up another hymn sheet and starts to hum, "O come, all you faithful." She begins to sing them. Then, in her thin, ready old lady's voice, What can we do? I own the building, she says, but they, I'm afraid, have bought part of the contract. I remember what Aaron said about how the COB have the resources, the infrastructure, how they could afford to throw as many people and apparently as much money at a problem until they won. Adestem filies lati triumphante. I don't know whether that's French or Latin or whatever. I think it's Latin because she's a nun. She sings and quietly, impulsively pushes some papers to the floor, a wave of dust and mildew releasing into the air. I immediately go to catch them, putting them back in a pile. Sister Assumptia sits down on what I now see is a piano bench. She flips the lid on an old upright piano, a big brown wooden thing that at first glance I thought was a cupboard. She settles her crooked hands on the old yellow keys and starts playing clean chunky chords. She used to do this back when I first started at St. Bernadette's. Play Christmas carols at the annual Mass. Venite, venite in Bethlehem. Sing now, Maeve. It's almost Christmas. I don't know the Latin words to "O come, all ye faithful," so I murmur them in English. She keeps cocking her head upward, raising her eyebrows, shouting, come now, more louder. Come, let us adore him. I sing, my cheeks burning red. Oh, come, let us blah, blah, blah. Sister Assumptia keeps pushing down on the chords over and over, even though I've run out of lyrics. Isn't it beautiful, Maeve? She says, her eyes shining. Her arms are bare, skin thin, veins knotted, but strong. It can be this way, I think. What can? Praising, she says, her hands slamming down even louder now, praising and giving thanks. So, wow. She plays to the end of the song, sits down, she barks, scooting her body up the piano bench. Sit down and turn the pages. And so we go through O little town of Bethlehem. The first Noel, and hark, the herald angels sing. We are at least 3 weeks early for any of this, but something about sitting in this room with her, this terrible, untidy, mysterious room, gives me the sense that I'm supposed to remember this. That this is one of those memories that you know is a memory as you are making it, and that it will always be known to me as some kind of end, some kind of beginning. She finishes, her breath short, her voice rasping. She is exhausted, but happily so, as if briefly distracted from the terror terror of life. Sister Assumptia looks around as the mess all over her office, as if seeing it for the first time. I've been expecting this for some time, she sighs. I wanted to move everything out before they could get their hands on it. She presses just one key with her finger, a high one. I'm so shocked by this I'm accidentally clattered my hands on top of the piano. A loud fip, I don't know, it's a few letters, sound emerging from the instrument. Sister, that's what moving all the stuff out of the school has been about? Since? She nods. I knew they would come eventually. But how? Because Maeve, she starts tapping on the high key again. My gift is sight. I put my hand on my mouth, as if trying to catch my own shock. Maiden mother crone. She makes a chord again, bangs it loudly. You're Harriet. Me? You found this school. I racked my brain trying to remember school law. You were in a convent and then you inherited. So you dropped out and then you founded it. She shakes her head and starts to play. God rest thy merry gentleman. So she is the well. She's a witch. She's Harriet that was lost, that everybody thinks has left. This was my home, she says. I was born here, and when my sensitivity started to show, my mother knew enough about the old ways to know that we were on top of a well. That I was the Kilbeg sensitive for my generation when I got the call to God. She said, you belong back here. You'll have to come back here in the end. That's your service. And she was right. She always was, so I inherited it. And I thought I would just sit and wait for the next one. The next sensitive. Yes, she continues playing. I was an old woman by the time Harriet came along. You remember. Why did you make it a girls' school? I push. What if it was a boys' sensitive? Oh, it's always a girl. No, I corrected her. I know a boy. She says dubiously. Is he mad? I think about it. Yes, I answer. Poor thing. Boys can be good witches, but never good sensitives. But they know I have. Do they know, I ask. Do the children know what you are? Ha, she laughs. Ha ha ha, and slamming down both hands on the keys like Beethoven. No, I've been in this game much longer than them. I am clever as a fox. I nod. She peers at me. And do you know who else is? Who? She looks up at the ceiling, and I almost laugh. God, Maeve, she smiles. He's not fooled by any of this either, you know. I'm not sure what to say. I've never really thought much about God in any of this. It's always what people do with God that seem to be the stinking point. There isn't much room for God himself or herself or themselves when we willingly leave the church in the hands of thieves, she says. We let them keep the faith. I sit and watch her hands for a minute, wondering what she already knows, what I need to explain. what I need to ask. We are going to stop them, I say quietly. I know, she says approvingly. So you know everything. Some things, my gifts, is that I can see things. My curse is that I am not allowed to interfere. Surely you can help. No, she replies, except she goes to her desk and takes out a long velvet box from her seemingly endless supply of velvet boxes. This one has something in it, she says. Something for you. I open it, hearing the soft hiss and hinges on the plush material. It's a knife, I say, and it is a long silver blade, like a dagger, with a heavy pearl handle. It looks like something for opening letters. I feel bloodless looking at it. I don't have a great history with knives as it is. That was my mother's, she says. It's been in this house much longer than me. Some old magic in that blade. Take it with you. You'll know when it's time to use it. Doesn't this count as you interfering? No, it belongs to you, and you belong to it. Why? Because you both belong to here, she says, and she raps her knuckles on the wall. She looks at me as if this is supposed to explain everything. I nod, not quite understanding, and I leave, not quite knowing what to do with the knife. And that's the end of the chapter 34, and I'm going on to chapter 35. Well, perhaps that is to cut the rubber tennis court. Who knows? What do you think? Let me know in the reactions, please. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next chapter. Bye-bye.